NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Hercules Tire.
60 minutes of local, regional, and touring series interviews, news, and opinion. Now a couple of guys who call Gray Galding the Donut Guy. Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long.
Goodale picks up his first win of the season in Thunder Valley. Momentum is on the side of NASCAR Pinty Series top rookie, and we'll hear from one of the West Coast contenders as he contends for the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series National Championship. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Wednesday, August 24th, 2016. Kyle Rickey, Buddy Long, back from the Bristol Motor Speedway. It was our favorite day of the year last week at this time. A great show, both for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, although they kind of split bookends in the Truck Series.
Somebody was asking me, well, how was your Wednesday up there? I said, well, let's review this, and I'm not complaining.
No.
I said we left the studio at 5:45 in the morning in Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah, we did.
We went to the track, 3-hour drive. Well, a little less than that. You appreciated that, so I get somewhat of a grade for my driving.
I didn't appreciate the ride home, though, but it wasn't you driving. So.
Did our interviews with some of our key drivers on both the North and the South.
Yep.
Had a very brief moment before we went upstairs, got ready to do the show. After that, we had a NASCAR production meeting. After that, we had our production meeting. Had a couple of hours, maybe, to eat, and then went up and watched the beginning of the modified race, which eventually got rained out. Oh, guess what? Big surprise there. Got rained on. Did the Truck Series broadcast through the rain. Then eventually watched the modifieds, and I thought, well, we leave about 11:30 from the racetrack and checked into the hotel after midnight. So that was somewhat of a long day, but it was fun. As I sat there watching the tail end of the modified race at 11 o'clock at night, it's like, well, no other place I want to be. I'm either going to be sleeping in the Doubletree Hotel in Johnson City or I'm going to be watching modifieds at Bristol Motor Speedway, so I think I'll take B.
And it would have been even later, but they shortened the modified race by 50 laps.
Well, I could say something there, but, you know, it's a family show, so I can't. I'm just kidding. No, it was still good, and what a great job by Eric Goodale, because it looked for the longest time like Todd Szegedy had things well in hand, and then Goodale just came to life. Donnie Leah with a very good run as well. Saw some names that are up in the points in the top 10, some of those drivers that we just mentioned, a couple of them. But a very strong effort, and, of course, it changed the points battle a little bit more with some things that happened in that race as well.
Big hit by Justin Bonsignor. Something broke just prior to the midway point. Hit the outside wall at a ton. Yeah. And I think it was that caution flag that the rain came and ultimately they held that race, and the remaining, well, I guess it was 40-something laps at that point, to the second half of the night after the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race was over. And then we saw that great battle with Szegedy and Goodale in the closing laps. What I didn't understand was they kept the midway break.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Although it was quick, but, yeah, it was kind of interesting that they did that.
Just, you know, at that point, again, this is just coming as a fan. If you know you're only going to race them 50, they complete before the break, 48
55,
laps. 50,
was it 55 laps?
If you're only going to race 45 laps, why interrupt it with 20 laps to go?
Have you talked to the powers to be and gone in there and just shaking everything up?
I asked the question the next day, so why did you shorten the race? Oh, we don't know yet. That was the question. That was the answer I got. So
I have to use that answer sometimes in my regular job then.
But, yeah, as do I.
We'll get back to you.
Eric Goodale picked up the race win over Todd Szegedy, Donnie Leah, Patrick Emmerling, and Doug Kobe. That was the top 5 from the northern contingent. Eric Goodale will join us here in a little bit to talk about the race win and his only second career win, first since 2014 when he won at the Riverhead Raceway in New York. In the South, because there were almost 40 cars out there, split up into 2 different groups. Eric Goodale won in the North. Kyle Ebersol won in the South, holding off Andy Seiss, Danny Bone, Bobby Measmer Jr., and Gary Putnam. Again, some big names in the South that you don't see up toward the top of that finishing result.
Yeah, George Brunholzl Jr., or actually the third, I'm sorry. He had a shoulder injury after the Bowman Gray Tour race. He was cleared to race. He didn't have the event he wanted. Burt Myers was strong early, but he also faded further back in the field, so he had some issues. So that is shaking up the points just a little bit more as they get set for their next event at East Carolina and have just a few races left to go in the 2016 season.
Checking up the championship standings in the South, Burt Myers is the championship point leader by just 10 over Andy Seiss. As you mentioned, just 4 races remain on the 2016 campaign. George Brunholzl III, 28 points back. in that third spot. Danny Bone fourth, and Bobby Meismer Jr. rounding out the top 5, separated by 36 points. It looks like at this point, buddy, 2 cars will have a shot at the championship, and those are the top 2 in the championship standings.
And what you don't see there, you see the finish. It was 7th overall, not overall, but in the Southern for Kyle Bonsignore. First full season that he's run. That's Justin's cousin.
Yep.
Kyle had a very good practice day, a good qualifying day, and had a good run going, but he also had his issues late in the event. So there were some other drivers that had some very good runs. The finishes don't indicate how good of a weekend they actually had.
In the North, the championship standings, Doug Coby, 32 points, one of the largest leads that we have seen this year between himself and Justin Bonsignore, who had a DNF after the mid-race accident. Donnie Lee, third. Timmy Solomito, fourth. And Eric Goodale rounding out the top 5, and some issues with the Solomito team as well coming out of that event. Apparently, again, they were involved in the Bonsignore wreck, I believe, just prior to the rain delay. And they were told, and again, this is just hearsay and what we have read and gathered at the racetrack, they were told that they could work on the race car. Well, under normal conditions, and Wednesday night was a little abnormal because there was a race in between the 2 separate segments of the modified race, that they were told that they could work on the car. You can't. He asked the official a couple of different times, some folks from Solomito's crew, and they said, yeah, you can work on the race car. And apparently there were 3 other teams that also worked on their car. When we went back to green, NASCAR held Burt Myers, Timmy Solomito, 2 other cars on the pit lane for 25 laps before they were allowed to get back on the racetrack. So some controversy there as to what was told to the teams versus what the rules week to week are. And we know that you can't work on the car during a red flag no matter where the race is, especially under the NASCAR Touring Series guidelines. And
I think that's why Timmy's crew chief asked, again, you're saying I can work on this car right now, and and it's unfortunate that there was some miscommunication, because traditionally we know that in any situation for any type of racing, for the most part, red flag means stop. You don't work on their car. You can look at it, you can survey it, and you can figure out exactly what plan of attack
you can prep
you're going to come from, but you can't work on it. So it's unfortunate it worked out that way, and certainly hope everybody can get back on the right path, because that's such a good team, such a good young driver that's had a very good early season and figures in the battle for this championship with Coby, Bonsignore. And when Robbie put up the graphic about the rundown in points, if you look around where Eric Goodale is, there was a log jam. I mean, behind him and in front of him, so many drivers that are so close to each other that tonight or this weekend's event at Riverhead Raceway, in just a snap of a finger, can change and shuffle the deck so quickly within that top 10.
Drivers wanting to race into the top 5 obviously want a shot at the championship, but obviously if you can get into the top 5, that is the next step in going for that championship. Still a lot of racing left in the North. 6
races.
6 races to go at 6 different racetracks, including a couple of new facilities for the Tour. Seekonk Speedway coming up in a couple of weeks, along with the Oswego Speedway in New York, along with a race at New Hampshire, Stafford, Thompson, and Riverhead. It's going to be fun coming down to the wire.
Absolutely.
When we come back, Eric Goodale will join us here on the show, the latest winner on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at the Bristol Motor Speedway last Wednesday. He'll join us after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
Missed the race this weekend?
Danica Patrick is up in flames. Paul Menard will crash.
Or just want to relive the best moments?
That was an amazing finish.
Catch all of the action and highlights right here.
Jimmy Johnson gets nailed, and it's a big one.
It's the Sprint Cup replay getting you on the fast track to victory lane.
Woo! Good job, good job. Kansas, yes.
Don't be left out of the conversation Monday at work. Listen to the Sprint Cup replay on MRN.com Mondays at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m.
MRN's Winged Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. and again at 12:30 p.m. Steve Post and Ashley Strimmy give you a full half hour of sprint car news and interviews with the biggest names from the world of outlaws, ASCS, All-Star Circuit of Champions, Pennsylvania, Knoxville, the West Coast, and all dirt tracks in between. MRN's Winged Nation on MAV TV, presented by Sage Fruit, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Sarah Cornett-Ching, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah. She was in action this past Sunday at the Springfield Mile, the ARCA race there, and a race won by Justin Haley, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East Championship leader. He'll be joining us on the show here today as well. Before we get to Eric Goodale, and we'll touch on it again later in the show, the national standings for the Division I NASCAR Whelen All-American Series National Championship. Not sure how it tightened up more, 3 points last week, but it did going into the final month of racing.
Yeah, and both drivers, Matt Boland and Keith Rocco, are solid knocking down victories, and it's going to come right down to the wire between the two. A point does separate them. Some other drivers that did well, they advanced 2 positions. Trevor Huddleston, defending champion Lee Pulliam, Taylor Holdaway. He's not given up yet, albeit they're a ways back as far as the point total is concerned. But another driver that we're going to have on the show for the first time, say it?
Nick Joanides.
All right, Nick Joanides. All right, I had to wait because I wasn't 100% sure, but he was the biggest mover.
Yep.
He jumped up 6 spots in the standings up into the 7th position, and it's amazing when you look at him, Trevor Huddleston, and Christian McGee, 3 drivers all fighting for that same bone, and they're only running at that one racetrack, and they're all 3 up within the top 15 in the Whelen All-American Series standings. That's impressive.
We'll talk to Nick Joanides coming up here in a little bit on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Joining us now on the guest line, the winner last Wednesday night at the Bristol Motor Speedway, the Bush's Beans 150/100. Eric Goodale joins us. Eric, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the win. Last Wednesday night, it was a long day for you guys as you guys arrived at the racetrack about 9 a.m. and finally finished that race some 14 and a half hours later.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, guys, for having me on. And, I think I referred to it as the 24 hours of Bristol down there after the race. It was quite a day. But, at the end, it all worked out for us, so I was pretty happy leaving there.
And it seemed like the spirits were pretty good, and even before the race got underway, I think Justin Bonsignor had been posting some social media pictures of Max Zackham and his crew. You guys bailing water the day that you got there, the Bristol Motor Speedway. I mean, it was just a soaker on the initial day. It looked like it was just hurricane-force winds coming through there and driving rain.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I had a bunch of people in my trailer. We were all watching the temps blow around, and it was pretty serious down there on Tech Day on Tuesday afternoon. After a long drive, couldn't wait to get out of the car and get to wrenching and mounting tires and whatnot. And then the rains came as soon as we got unloaded there. And looking at the forecast the whole week leading up to it, was like, man, there's thunderstorms, possible every day, and just was hanging on, hoping that they were going to miss us. And, it seemed like every time one got in the area, it just came right over the racetrack and doused it.
And that was the theme of the weekend, Thursday,
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series event. What did you're running for a top 5 before the rains came? There's the big wreck on the front stretch with Justin Bonsignor, Timmy Solomito, Burt Myers, and several others. The red flag comes out. What do you do during that time of the truck race? Do you enjoy the truck race, or are you talking with your crew trying to make things better for when you get back in the car for what ultimately was the last 45 laps of the modified race after the truck race some 3.5 hours later?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously initially when the rain came, we kind of all knew, even though it was never announced until later, that, as soon as the rain came, we knew we were going to be running after the truck because that's what happened the year prior, and we knew they had TV obligations. So, I sat in the trailer and talked to my crew chief about what was going on with the car through the progression of the race there in the first 55 laps. And, we really hammered down some adjustments that we wanted to make. And then, right before I got in the car, I said, what happens when the track is completely different with all the different rubber down, and, it's probably going to tighten up here. And we were really loose in the first half of the race. We were really fast, but it was getting on the verge of being out of control. So he's like, well, we'll just see how bad it is when we go back out there. And, we made completely different adjustments than we thought we were going to be making. We had some premeditated changes that we were going to make. and it just ended up going the complete opposite direction. And I got to give it to my crew chief Jason. He did a hell of a job interpreting what I was telling him that the car was doing, and he made the right adjustment there at the brake.
Yeah, and that's what Kyle and I were alluding to, and it kind of makes sense now. We weren't really thinking about it, or at least I wasn't, that there was the Goodyear rubber laid down by the Camping World Truck Series drivers. We were kind of thinking, okay, they trimmed it to 100 laps. We get about 55 in before the caution, before the rain came. You had 45 left to go, but you still had a halftime break. So that was key, obviously, by virtue of the decisions you guys made and the changes from the Goodyear rubber, since you're used to running the Hoosier rubber, really came around big time, because for the longest time, it looked like Todd Szegedy had the field covered.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying that, but I got stuck back there. I didn't put together the best qualifying effort, and we qualified 13th. And Bristol's a type of track for the modifieds where you need to be on the bottom to make cars, to pass cars and whatnot. And just with that extra stuff that they put down there on the track, it just really made that bottom groove that much more better for us. So. It took me a while to get up into the top 5 there, but, I was screaming on the radio that I was having to be on the brakes getting into the corner, and in the modifieds, you don't really have to touch the brake at all there. The only time you should touch the brake is when you're avoiding an accident or coming up pit road. So, I knew I had a pretty damn good car early on, and it just, I was just buying my time. It was early in the race. At that point, you didn't know it was going to be shortened to 100. So I was just picking my points on the track where I could get around somebody, and I thought that we would have been contending, for the lead by the halfway point. But, obviously with everything that happened, we had a lot of cautions in the first half, so we didn't get to run a lot of green flag laps. So I knew that Todd was really good, and I knew that Justin was really good. And when Justin went out, the first thing that popped into my head was hopefully he's all right. But that's also one less good car that I have to get around here to get to the front.
You claimed the win. You were able to drive onto the roof of the Goodyear building in Victory Lane, one of the more famous victory lanes in the sport at Bristol Motor Speedway. So where does this one stack up among your 2 wins? The Bristol Motor Speedway or your home track at Riverhead Raceway in New York, your very first win 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, 2 completely, totally different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
They're both, it's hard to rank one in front of the other. They both very special to me. Riverhead was great because it was obviously my first tour win, and I had a ton of family and friends there, which made that victory lane pretty damn special. That's hard to top. But on the other side of that, I've been going to Bristol for, a long time and watched many races there, and it's Bristol. It doesn't get any better than Bristol. So, that one was pretty special too. And the only part that kind of sucked about that was that, it's such a long way for us, and we had pretty much a skeleton crew there. Didn't have some of my normal guys there, which kind of a bummer for them. But, if you can walk out of Bristol, Tennessee with a win, I mean, that's a damn good day right there. So it was pretty special. But then again, Riverhead was pretty crazy as well.
I don't think, even though it's not a tour race, we'll add to that your success down to New Smyrna in the World Series of Asphalt Racing earlier this year, because that's against some very good competition, some pretty staunch races down there. You've been very blessed when you look at just the Riverhead, the Bristol, and even though it's non-tour, but the New Smyrna action. We got 6 races left to go. Are you already looking beyond that and kind of setting things straight for 2017? Will we see you back down at New Smyrna for next year again?
It's funny you ask me that. We're just talking that over with my crew on the long ride back from Bristol, and early on plans. We got a lot happening this winter with people having babies. Myself getting ready to expect another one in October. So I think we're gonna. Usually by now we know that we're going, but I think we're going to kind of hold out and see how things look in, at the end of October, November there, and see how we're going to be geared up to tackle the 2017 season. But New Smyrna is a fantastic facility. I know a good friend of mine, Ann Young, is running a modified race again at Bristol Speedway, which I'd love to do. So, you don't have to really pull my arm to go down there, but I want to just make sure that everything's covered on the home front and evaluate the situation in a few months from now and make sure that we're going to be ready to go down there.
You touched on it a moment ago and how difficult the Wednesday event in Bristol was for your team, a small team, a family-owned team out in New York. How difficult has this stretch been for you guys? Obviously, one of the smaller teams on the tour. You have a Friday night race at Stafford, then you turn around and have a midweek race at Thompson, turn around a week later and have a midweek race at Bristol before getting into the final 6 races. It's a busy couple of months for the Modifieds. How much of a toll is that taking on your team?
I think we've actually handled it pretty good. I've been fortunate enough to be working for Riverhead Building Supply, which also employs a few other tour drivers out there, and they're very good to us, and allows me to take the time off of work to get down there and do what we love to do on the weekends, and as of late the weekdays. So it hasn't been too crazy, and fortunately we haven't been tearing up any race cars, so it's made the shop life a little bit easier. And you put all those things together, and you can get some pretty decent runs out of it. It's a fun stretch. It's a long stretch, but it's a fun stretch if you're not tearing cars up and you're running well. And we've been fast at all the races this year, which gets everybody's emotions high and everybody eager to get back to the track. So it'll be nice though to get through the stretch and be able to spend a little bit of time at home. We've spent a lot of time on the road lately, so. This is actually a busy week for me. We're getting ready to run the tri-track race at Waterford tomorrow, and then we'll be going home to Riverhead for Saturday. So it'll be nice to be able to catch our breath after Riverhead this weekend, and hopefully obviously the plan is to go out there and stomp them out there and take home the checkered there. So but very much looking forward to a few days away from the track after this is all said and done.
7th at Riverhead earlier this year, as Kyle alluded to. That's where you guys are going to be headed back this upcoming weekend. It's a pretty good stretch. Robbie Mays, our graphics artist, was showing obviously quite a few shots for those that don't have the opportunity to view right now. One of those has got to be one of the most unique winners' trophies in modified racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. What do you think of the award that you get for the Bush's Beans 150 at Bristol?
It's awesome. I was so pissed. I didn't even get to mess around with my Bush's trophy after, because I sent it back to the shop with my crew chief, and I haven't had a chance to go play with it. But I guess Duke and the old man there talked to each other, and I didn't get too much time to play around with it. But the guy told me in Victory Lane that happens, and it's. I mean, any trophy, they could have handed me a medal or a plaque that said, winner at Bristol Motor Speedway, and it would have been completely awesome. But that trophy's cool looking. So I'm excited to get back to the shop and check it out here in a few days.
5th in the championship standings. How would you rate your season that now includes a win, 4 top 5s, 7 top 10s? Very consistent, it seems like, for you and your team.
Yeah, this is definitely a year that is getting ready to stack up there amongst my best. I just, we've been fast everywhere we go. We've been qualifying a heck of a lot better this year than years past, and the biggest thing is the speed that we gained. We gained a lot of notes and a lot of headway down in New Smyrna, messing with our car with the Troyer TA2 chassis, and having Troyer's help down there, helped us find a few things with the car that we really like, and it's really made us be that much more competitive this year. And I feel like I've cost myself a few races just with some of my restarts this year, especially at Stafford a few weeks ago. I felt like I had a car that could win that race, and I just let it get away from me at the end. And these races aren't easy to win, and anytime you can be in the top 3 or 4 and be in position to take a win, you have a good night. So. The thing that gets me about this year is that we're in contention for wins every week that we show up to the track. We're fast in practice, we're good in qualifying, and we have a top 10 car everywhere we go. So, it's just all about putting the whole picture together and making sure that everything about the race goes our way. And, fortunately at Bristol, everything did go our way, and hopefully a few more this year.
Very stout machine last Wednesday night, and a lot of momentum for your team. Kyle talked about the points where you were right now with about 6 races left to go, all at different racetracks. But there is a logjam in front of you and behind you. You've got drivers all around you. One finish, however it goes, one event can shuffle that top 10 almost completely. Even with Doug Kobe with a 32-point lead over Justin Bosignor, he's very attainable. Do you find yourself able to block out the points and just focus on your events each and every weekend?
Yeah, you know what, and I think that's another thing that's going good for me this year. I've always been focused on points and trying to get a good finish in the points, and, sometimes it crosses your mind when you're out there racing. But, this year, we got off to a good start, and then we went through a little rough patch, having some mechanical failures, and we had an accident, and kind of just put us back. And the focus really turned to just trying to win races and doing, having the best finish you can. And you really can't control the points. The points are going to be what it's going to be at the end of the year. You can't control what other people do out on the track. So, you just put your head down and keep digging and focusing on your own team, and the rest will take care of itself. The way I look at it is if we can go out and win, two more races before the year ends, and have decent finishes and not have any DNS towards the end of the year, we'll be right there for the championship at the end.
Yeah, had the ignition issue earlier in the year at the Stafford Springs Sizzler, and then bounced back the very next week with a drive shaft issue at Waterford. But outside of those couple of mechanical issues early in the season, very consistent season for you, Eric. Congratulations again on the win. It took a while to get to the checkered flag, about 14 hours time, but you were able to celebrate on the roof last week at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when we get to see the Modifieds in person at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And hopefully, like I said, you'll help me on a few more times, because we're going to plan on winning a few more races before the year's over.
Well, we look forward to it. And if that's the case, he'll no doubt contend for the championship with Doug Coby, because you're right. It's a very small gap between the top 5 or 6 drivers in the championship standings. Always fun at Bristol Motor Speedway, but also look forward to getting to New Hampshire in a couple of weeks with our coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race. The Modifieds will be there as well for a 100-lap event.
Yeah, it's the beginning of fall, actually, and hopefully Mother Nature will agree with that as well. I'll always love going up to the Granite State and catching that fall weekend spectacular. And this kid's on a great roll. A lot of good momentum. He can do some damage this weekend in the point standings if he has a good finish at Riverhead.
6 races to go. They're back in action this Saturday night at Riverhead Raceway on Long Island in New York. Coming up, we go to the West Coast and talk to one of the drivers fighting for not just a track championship, but also a national championship in the NASCAR Wheelin' All-American Series. Nick Joanides joins us after the break.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
O'Reilly. Has the summer heat taken a toll on your vehicle's battery? Count on O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Superstart battery that's right for your vehicle. For a limited time, purchase a Superstart Premium, Extreme, or Platinum battery and get up to a $15 O'Reilly gift card by mail. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
MRN On Demand. Listen or watch when you want and where you want. Find all of MRN's original programs in the Media Center at MRN.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Race Day Nation on iHeartRadio. Find NASCAR Live, Motorsports Monday, Winged Nation, NASCAR Coast to Coast, Pod Tracks, Slingin' Dirt, The Inside Line, and The Straight Line. Motorsports programs when you want, where you want. MRN On Demand.
This is NASCAR Wheelin' Modified Tour driver Doug Coby, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
And NASCAR Coast to Coast is brought to you in part by STP, Ultra Clean, Ultra Performance, Ultra Protection. STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner, their most advanced formula. STP, in for the long haul.
And the Ultra announcers on the show again today, right? Oh, we won't go that far.
No, we won't. No. We'll move on. Nick Joanides joins us on the show now. We've talked a lot about the NASCAR Wheelin' All-American Series championship standings and how they've tightened up. Only less than 75 points separate the top 7 in the championship, with still just over a month to go before that champion is crowned. And currently the driver 7th in points, and the big mover the last 2 or 3 weeks, coming from deep inside of the top 15 to now well into the top 10. Nick Joanides joins us on the guest line. Nick, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast. First time that you've been able to join us this season on the show, and what appears to be a great season for you at the Irwindale Speedway, running for that track championship.
Hey, Kyle. Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, we've had a pretty exciting season so far.
Yeah, I think what's so phenomenal about this, we looked at Taylor Holdaway a season ago, and actually Taylor just running one track, Sunset Speedway in Toronto, and he pretty much was the lead dog there. And he was able to make a run for this championship. There are three of you that are there running at one track, yourself, Christian McGee, and Trevor Huddleston. You're all fighting for the same piece of real estate each and every weekend, but yet somehow, some way, three of you have found your way up into the top 15 in the Whelen All-American Series points. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Irwindale's had a history of doing that. Actually, in 2009, I finished third in the national standings to Philip Morris and Keith Rocco, and we missed out a little bit there, but Irwindale's always had such great competition. We always have great car counts, and it allows us to at least be competitive in the national standings, which is tough for us since we only run 20 to 21 races compared to some of these guys running 30, 35, 40 races. And this year we happen to have three guys that are really strong, and we're probably hurting each other actually. As far as the national title goes, had I not been there, Trevor might have had a better shot, or vice versa. But we've made it exciting.
You posted, or somebody posted from your team on Twitter this morning, the race from Saturday night, and you talk about exciting racing and good car counts. A great field on Saturday night. Three different leaders in the last 3 laps, 3 wide racing all the way around. I know that happens every week at Irwindale, but this time you came out on top. Kind of bring us through that event on Saturday night, your latest win there.
That I've had that was my 50th win at Irwindale, and first time ever that I've been able to actually pass for the win on the last lap. So couldn't have asked for a more exciting milestone win there. It was Julia Landauer came and ran with us from the K&N series, and she started out front and drove away from us actually in the beginning of the race, and was kind of surprised that with the invert we started eighth, I believe, in the race, and finally got up second. And she was way out there, and we were having a tough time catching her. And then Trevor and I just went at it for about 20 laps straight, door to door, and next thing I knew, I was focusing on him, and next thing I knew, there was Julia, and all of a sudden we were 3 wide for the lead, and it was pretty exciting. But we've had a lot of those races at Irwindale this year. That Progressive Banking, I'm sure as you know, has been famous for it at that track, and definitely hasn't been boring to watch races out there.
No, and I think that's another one of the many tracks that we look forward to. It's like opening up a present on Christmas morning to find out who came up the winner this weekend when the Pick Your Parts late models are running, whether it's you, Trevor, or Christian. But I want to go back a few years, probably back around maybe 2009, 2010, and in reading some information. When I was reading about you, it kind of made me think of Scott Gaffarini, who runs at the Bull Ring in Las Vegas. Scott has won so many championships, as Kyle and I have alluded to, until this past year, with a very outdated car. And for a while there, you were doing the same thing back in around 2009, in 2010 or so, running with equipment that wasn't as updated as most of the other drivers that you were out there with. Pretty impressive to see how you did.
Yeah, we had 08, 09. We had a lot of success there. That was, like I said, 09 was the year we finished third in the national championship, and we also became the first driver. We ran both the late model and the super late model that year, and won both championships. First one to ever do that. So it was pretty exciting. But I was driving actually for Christian McGee's father at the time, and so I knew my ride had an expiration date on it. As soon as he got old enough, he was going to jump into that seat, and I had kind of gone into a semi-retirement, I guess, and spent most of my time mentoring him and bringing him up through Bandoleros and legend cars and trucks and on up to the late models, and now he's in the Spear Southwest Series doing a phenomenal job over there.
Let's talk about championship night coming up in a couple of weeks, September 10th, I believe. That going to be an emotional night, knowing that we don't know what the future is for racing at Irwindale Speedway?
Yeah, it is sad. We haven't known the last couple of years. Each season, we don't know if we're coming back next year. As of right now, the rumors that I'm hearing is that we are going to be back next year. I would love nothing more than to find some billionaire that loves racing and can come pick that track up somehow, some way. I'm sure, as you know, it's one of the nicest short track facilities you'll find anywhere in the country. It really is a beautiful facility. It's on amazing racing. We just need somebody that's got a passion for racing and wants to take it on and keep it open. They wanted to tear it down and put a outlet mall in there, and they've discovered that there's a lot of issues with the soil and methane gas, and it was built on a prior landfill, so kind of tough to build anything other than a racetrack. So hopefully somebody can find a way in there.
And we need another outlet mall, don't we?
Yeah,
Don't we, Nick?
Yeah, we got enough of those, especially in L.A., California. We definitely don't need any more shopping malls.
No. I would have to say that if Irwindale closes and you don't have another place to race, you could always be a broadcaster. This guy's got a deep voice.
Yes, he does.
It's a good broadcasting voice, I would say that. But let's go back a couple of seconds. You mentioned you were mentoring Christian, and you were out of the sport for a little bit. What brought you back in just a year or so ago?
Ironically, it was Christian. I was spotting for him, coaching him in his races and so forth, and thought it would be fun to actually race against him one time. And, kind of like a father-son type of moment, even though I'm not his father, but, that type of experience anyway. And so I talked to Joe Nava, and he put me in the car for a week to go out and race with Christian. And Christian wasn't too excited about it in the beginning. He gets real nervous when he's got any additional competition. He just wants to win every week. So it took him a little while to adapt to having to race against me. But when we went out, we finished third in the first race for Joe. And he asked me back for another one, and we won the next one. And it just kind of turned into full season this year. But and this year, Christian's enjoying it. We're having a lot of fun with it. We've had some real strong battles. And so it's been a pleasure.
So that's what brought you back into the sport. But initially, years ago, what originally got you involved in motorsports and sparked your interest?
Back when I was a kid, being a stupid kid, I was street racing all the time. And my dad met a chiropractor that was doing SCCA road racing and wanted to find another project for me to do besides street racing and hooked me up with him. And he was out doing very well in that series, but SCCA, they're a little more finicky. They don't like aggressive drivers over there. And about 2 weeks after I started helping him, they kicked him out for driving too aggressively, and he put me in the car. And one thing led to another. I ran the SCCA for a year and went out to Saga Speedway. A buddy of mine put me in the car out there just to see how it was. And the rest is history.
Now, if you're not watching and monitoring the national standings, it's okay. But if you are, it's okay to say that you are as well, because we're getting to that point in the season where drivers obviously are coming down to the battle and point championships for the respective racetracks and obviously for the overall titles, state titles as well, which you trail Trevor Huddleston there. But do you find yourself when Tuesday, late Tuesday, early Wednesday comes out, looking at the updated national standings, especially since you're making such progress?
Yeah, we do. We take a look at it. I did, especially in 2009, obviously, because we had a real shot at the top three and even the national title that year. I think that year, because of the way they count the points based on car count, if we had a half more cars show up throughout the season, we'd have won the title that year, but didn't quite work out. This year, it's going to be a little tough. We've only got one race left at Irwindale, so it's going to be a bit tough for us anyway. Trevor looks pretty good for a top three, so that'll be exciting for him. I had a lot of fun with the banquet festivities in Charlotte that year, and NASCAR does a tremendous job making us feel like heroes for a week with that banquet and so forth. I think Trevor will have a lot of fun with that.
They're the local heroes every week for NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series Racing. And we look forward to seeing you in Charlotte in December, and obviously that championship night coming up again on September 10th at the Irwindale Speedway. For their final event of the 2016 season. And the good news is the rumors are 2017 looks good, at least as of right now. Nick, want to thank you for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Just real quick, if I can,
I'd
like to mention, Jan's Towing is one of our big sponsors. They're actually working on putting a K&N deal together. So we may end up running some K&N races this year with King Taco and Stout and Brenning and Joe Nava's team and so forth. So
awesome.
We'll see how that goes.
Love to see you out there, part of the K&N field and also part of the championship picture in both the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series Division 1 and that Irwindale Track Championship. Thanks for joining us here, Nick.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Nick Joanides has that not quite deep Russ Dowd voice from the Thompson
Yeah.
Speedway in Connecticut.
I can hear
but
him
it's
calling
close.
cars up to the grid at Irwindale, though, if
absolutely.
he wanted to. But he's going to be
Absolutely.
racing. Good to hear about the K&N West, because a lot of times I think that's the path you and I have gone, asking some of these drivers, like a Tony McRae, Nick Joanides, Trevor Huddleston. Some of them were Ryan Partridge and Ron Norman, who
Chris
eventually
Eggleston, you
moved up
mentioned.
into the K&N West. So good to see that opportunity is coming.
Nick Joanides running for that championship standing. 73 points right now out of the lead. Matt Bowling, the championship leader in Division 1, with about 5 weeks to go before that championship is decided. When we come back, another driver running for a championship, his first championship in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East, and was pretty good on the dirt this past weekend as well in a non-NASCAR sanctioned event. Justin Haley will preview the final third of the K&N Pro Series East season when we come back.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, check out Slingin' Dirt with David and Ashley Strim. They talk with dirt late model, dirt modified, and UMP modified drivers from all over America. Join David and Ashley on MRN.com, the MRN app, and YouTube as they give you the news, results, and their opinions of dirt track racing, plus interviews with the biggest race winners and newsmakers from New York to California and all dirt tracks in between. Slingin' Dirt Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, the MRN app, and MRN.com. The grill is hot and the cooler is cold at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join us each weekend as your host and head chef Rob Tanner serves up the hottest hits and country music, and Steve Post drops by with NASCAR news straight from the sport's top garages and shops. We have 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound, getting you ready for NASCAR racing. Rev up your weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Colin Cabry, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Big weekend this weekend up at the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan, this Saturday and Sunday, August 27th and 28th, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and Sprint Cup Series doubleheader. On Saturday, the Careers for Veterans 200 for the trucks. On Sunday, the Pure Michigan 400 for the Sprint Cup cars. Go to mispeedway.com to purchase your tickets today. Going to be a fun weekend up at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll be also in action at Road America with the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And actually,
4-mile road course.
The boss of the driver we're about to talk to had a very successful weekend in Mid-Ohio, and he's looking for another success at Road America.
He did. Put the car in victory lane and in Justin Marks a couple of weeks ago. And Justin Haley joins us now on the guest line. Justin, you were in Mid-Ohio as well. It's actually been a pretty couple of busy weeks for you, even though the K&N Series hasn't been in action every week. You've been keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, we for sure had, a busy summer, and I feel like, August started and it even got busier. So every weekend I'm racing at least one car. If not, I'm flying back and forth across the country to race 2 or 3 different series. So I'm definitely keeping myself busy.
Well, because this is the biggest break you guys have since the beginning of the year. When you ran New Smyrna, from that to the Mobile International Raceway. But did a double take. We were on the golf cart going through the paddock of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and you guys were lining up. Didn't realize you were in the field for one of the sports car events, and you didn't have your helmet on. You're blowing by in the car. It's like, I think I know that kid. I've seen that face, and I could not pinpoint you. And then we're sitting there watching a replay at the end of your race, I guess, on Saturday, and it looked like it was pretty entertaining with you and another driver there towards the very end. You want to take us through it?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a no.
I mean, he looks at it one way, and then me and everyone else looks at it the other way. So, no, I just we were racing there for 3rd and 4th position, and I gave him a little bump, got him out of the groove a little bit, and we were side by side racing. I didn't take him out or wreck him or anything, but I gave him a shot, and he ran me off track. I came back on track, and he spun himself out, and I guess he was pretty mad that he spun himself out. So after the race, he came by and wrecked me. So that wasn't very sportsmanship-like, but I'm not really sure what happened, but I love being there with the Trans Am Series. It's a great series. It's taught me so much and has expanded my racecraft beyond belief. So I'm just thankful that I can be over there in the Trans Am Series running for the championship.
Ran Trans Am a couple of weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, picked up his first stock car win on dirt this
Very
past
diverse.
weekend at Springfield in the ARCA Series, and is getting ready to get back at it as this championship run continues for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East on Labor Day Monday at the Greenville Pickens Speedway, a track in which you won at earlier this year. 36-point lead over Kyle Benjamin, 3 races to go. How's the confidence holding up as we go to Greenville Pickens in 10 days from now?
Yeah, so we actually spent all day testing Greenville yesterday with the 5 Brown Auto team, and we were really, really solid. We tried so many different things, and nothing worked as good as what we came there in the spring with. So we ended the day with what we came in the spring, and we at least had to go and try to see if we could pick up any speed at all. But confidence is, I'm not sure if it's high. I know we can get the job done there, but it kind of gives me a sense of expectations because obviously I've won there once, so we're going back looking for a win, like we always do every week, I guess. So definitely, I know we can get it done there. I know we're gonna have a great car, so just hopefully luck plays in our favor, and we can extend the point lead even more and possibly win the championship.
Hey, them stats are any indication when you look at the remaining 3 venues, which are Greenville Pickens, New Jersey Motorsports Park, which is the 3rd and final road course, and the Dover International Speedway. Things are looking good. You mentioned you won at Greenville Pickens earlier this year. That was back in Easter. You had a pair of runner-up finishes at VIR and Watkins Glen and a 6th-place run at Dover. So if I'm Kyle Benjamin and anybody else behind me, I'm really saying, boy, this kid's going to be tough to catch.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to New Jersey. We went there earlier in the Trans Am Series this year, and I set a new track record and almost won it before I got pushed off track. So we're really good in New Jersey, and our K&N road course program is phenomenal. Obviously, we ran second, beat by Austin Cindric both times, but hopefully we can beat him at New Jersey. And Dover's always a fun place, but I'm hoping to just kind of take Dover off and have a fun weekend and hopefully wrap up the championship before we head to Dover. That'd be really nice.
Been a model of consistency this weekend. Worst finish, a 9th, the 2nd race of the year at Mobile, and every other finish has been inside of the top 5. Compare your comfort level at the racetrack, in these cars, just in the atmosphere of the NASCAR garage for the K&N Series this year compared to your rookie season a year ago. Or can you even compare the two?
I'm not sure if I can even compare the two. It seemed like we were racing for 10th to 15th last year, and we were in a position to win a few times, but we just really couldn't get it done. So I'm just taking every finish. I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm lucky to have the season I've had. Obviously, we've been fast, but luck also has to be on your side. So I'm just super thankful for what A Scout Justin Marks has done for me and my whole entire crew. It's just been an amazing opportunity.
And speaking of Justin Marks, obviously he picked up the Xfinity Series win at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course a couple of weekends ago. Very entertaining race, going from the wet to the dry to the wet to the dry to the wet. How many more times do I need to do that? At least 3 times.
Couple times.
We may have touched on this with you earlier this year when you had success at the road courses at Watkins Glen and VIR. Do you talk to Justin a lot to get a little bit more information, the nuances of road course racing, or has that pretty much been one of your better fortes and talents in motorsports?
I really never grew up racing road courses. I did a few things, but nothing special until, last year. And I just kind of picked it up. I mean, it's just so fun and just something I always look forward to doing. Every weekend I'm in a road course car. It's just, the best weekend of my life. So, I don't know. I just picked up on it. I happen to be good. That's probably why I like it so much. But, Justin Marks was there at Mid-Ohio. He was in the pits. He watched me practice. We bounced back and forth some ideas, and it was super cool for him to get that Xfinity win. It's something he's worked so hard for, and he had a kid the week there of the race, so it was cool for him, and I'm just thankful to just be in a great organization of people.
Seen you in a couple of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races this year and a few last year as well. Any more Camping World Truck races on the horizon for you, either this season or looking ahead to 2017?
Yeah, for sure. We're actually going to go to Canada with the truck the weekend of Greenville, and we're going to have to red-eye it back to Greenville after the Mosport race. So, we went up there and tested our Camping World truck with our motorsports team, and we were really, really good on the road course up there. So I'm looking forward to get on a road course in a truck, and then hopefully maybe winning that, and then going back and winning Greenville. So we may get two wins in one weekend. That'd be super cool.
Well, if you work hard at it, talk to Alex Nagy. He may be able to get you a Pinty Series ride up there that weekend as well. There got to be something open for you out there. What do you think?
We talked about going and running the coin Sunday. So
oh my God!
Maybe we would do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal. I don't know.
Well, why not? I mean, you just won the ARCA race 2 days ago at the Springfield Mile, so keep up the momentum, I guess.
Yeah, you got to stay busy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got free time, that you're going to get in trouble. We can say, we look at you in the eyes. We can tell if you're free, you're in trouble. One of the cool things was it goes back about a month, and it was back during the combo event at the Iowa Speedway. And again, I've mentioned this a few times on the air. The autograph session when I went under the tent, and I looked at all the youngsters. Really, I mean, you have been somewhat of the elder statesmen on the K&N Pro Series East, but what's been the relationship not only with your own teammates but with the Rev Racing group? It just looks like all the groups and all the different drivers that are there, you guys get along with each other and carry on so well. Is it as it appears? I know there's a competitive nature once you get behind the wheel of the car, but are you guys having as much fun at the racetrack out of the car as you are when you get in?
Yeah, honestly, I think, majority of us, not really me, but majority of them go to the racetrack to basically go to school. I mean, it's like recess all over again. So they're all playing and laughing and having fun. And, I'm not as connected to all the other ones as I am with them. I'm pretty good friends with Colin Cabro. But, I'm just so focused at the racetrack, and I dedicate so much of my time to the racing and trying to get better that, I really don't look at the racetrack as something just to, go hang out with a bunch of other racers. So, I'm kind of dedicated to my team and what we've been doing, and we've had a solid, relationship with the other HCOT teams. But, for sure, it's a good atmosphere in the K&N garage. So, we all get along, and we all can joke around with each other, and all race each other clean. So it's a super cool series right now.
How'd that go-kart race work out for you the other night at GoPro?
Man, you know how it went. You were watching it. No, I made it in through the LCQ. Actually, I was pretty proud of myself, and then, spun out there. The one time I'll take fault for, but the last one where we're all like 7 wide going into that corner, that did not just work out. So, it didn't work out very good. I think I finished 10th out of 18, but there's like 60 cars there, so, I don't know if I feel accomplished or disappointed.
You did well. You made it further than I did. I got spun out. I
I
got spun out in the LCQ on the first lap, so my night was done early. Congratulations on all the success lately, Justin. Look forward to talking to you again soon once the K&N Series gets back up and rolling.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, Justin Haley joining us. One final thing. I know we got to hit the break on the race the other night. Harrison Burton was there.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Elledge was there. Carson runs the Outlaw mini carts here in Charlotte. Harrison, obviously a K&N standout. Both too young to run the go-kart race at GoPro Motorplex, believe
Imagine
it or not.
that.
Mm-hmm. We'll check the national standings and recap the weekend coming up on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
O'Reilly. Has the summer heat taken a toll on your vehicle's battery? Count on O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Superstart battery that's right for your vehicle. For a limited time, purchase a Superstart Premium, Extreme, or Platinum battery and get up to a $15 O'Reilly gift card by mail. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Just wondering, what's the first thing you tend to think?
I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Let's see you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
One final lap in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano has the point. Junior crosses over.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
This is NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver Ron Silk, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Mentioned at the top of the show, the NASCAR Pinty Series was in action this past weekend, and for the second time in 3 weeks, Caden Lapcevich.
Who?
Yeah. If you don't know the name, you better know it soon. Caden Lapcevich was able to take down the win over LP Dumoulin, Jason Hathaway. They were the top three at the Riverside International Speedway in Nova Scotia. Lapcevich now has a 12-point lead over Andrew Ranger. Alex Tagliani is third, LP Dumoulin fourth, and Kevin Lacroix rounding out the top five. 44 points separate them with just, 3 races to go?
Yeah, 12 points. It's over. They've never had a 12-point lead.
Right.
No point leaders ever had a 12-point lead. That's crazy. A couple of racetracks, I believe, are winding down this weekend. But Bowman Gray Stadium found Brandon Ward in victory lane in the Carolina Farm Credit 150 over Jason Myers and Tim Brown. Burt Myers, who was well on his way to the championship when we last spoke to him, takes down the title. So he is now looking, for the Whelen Southern Modified Tour title, of which he will continue to go after next weekend at East Carolina Motor Speedway.
A 7th track title at the Madhouse. Congratulations to Burt. Brian O'Brien picked up both the Pro Stock wins in double feature night at Tucson Speedway this past weekend in Arizona. Brandon Schillen won in the late models. Their next event is on Saturday, September 3rd.
We mentioned Kingsport Speedway. They will be one of the tracks looking to wrap up their season, I believe, this weekend, coming up on Friday night. This has been one of the better point battles. Ronnie McCarty leads Zeke Shell by one point. And it's been tight for the top four.
Colorado National Speedway, Tacoma, Colorado. Brett Yackey back in victory lane in the late models. Adam Dennis won in the pro trucks. They're back in action on Saturday, August 27th. Their season also winding down.
Kalamazoo Speedway in Michigan, the Outlaw Late Model Show went to Doug True over Tim Curry and Mike Brooks. Championship night coming up this Friday for them. Mark Shook with a 39-point lead over Bubba Brooks.
Stafford Motor Speedway's got 3 events remaining. Eric Berndt picked up the latest win in the SK Modifieds last Friday night. Tommy Fern won in the late models. They're back in action this coming Friday night.
Staying in the state of Michigan on this side, Berlin Raceway unfortunately was rained out. Their championship night coming up this weekend. Outlaw Late Models, Dave Zagayski right now is the leader. Super Late Model leader is Nate Walton. We will see who the titleists are next week.
And we'll stay in Connecticut on this side. Waterford Speed Bowl, Tyler Chadwick won SK Modified Race 1. Keith Rocco won race number 2. The race saw a wild crash to send Adam Gaeta onto his roof into the brand-new front stretch catch fence, which held up perfectly.
Congratulations out to Craig Von Dorn. He picks up his 100th win in the 358 mods at the Grandview Speedway in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania. Beating Mike Guler and Jeff Strunk. The 358 mods are back on this Saturday. Von Dorn looking for another championship, well over a 100-point lead.
Bill Kimball picked up the Sportsman Modified Race win at the Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire. Woody Pitcat won in the Super Stocks, a rare Monadnock appearance for that driver. They're back in action this Saturday night. Kimmy Rivette, who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, her worst finish of the year, I think, finished 13th.
Yeah. Alex Bell, the winner at Devil's Bowl, the Sportsman mods on the asphalt side over Vince Quenville Jr. Sportsman mods are back in action this weekend. Good point battle here. Jason Durgan by 3 points over Vince Quenville. The dirt track at Devil's Bowl rained out, and guess what? So was Utica Rome.
Again,
surprise.
8th of the year, I think.
guess.
The first since
Counting.
they lost 7 early in the year. Jeff Cuddy won in the Super Stocks over at New Smyrna Speedway in Florida. Jerry Simons in the Modifieds. They're back in action this weekend with Pro or Super Late Models as their headline division. And with that, another hour has come and gone.
Yes, it has. Yes, it's been fun. Enjoyed our guest today.
Matt Bowling, the championship leader in the national standings by 1 point over Keith Rocco. Want to thank Justin Haley for joining us, along with Eric Goodale and Nick Joanides. For Craig Moore and Robbie Mays, he's Buddy Long. I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next week on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
This has been NASCAR Coast to Coast with MRN short track experts Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long. Tune in next Wednesday at noon at MRN.com for more talk from NASCAR home tracks and touring series. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.